Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Terminator Dark Fate, number 2 would be Joker, number 3 would be Maleficent Mistress of Evil, number 4 would be Motherless Brooklyn, and number 5 would be Harriet. And I only got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right, which is pretty good, but the last 2 in particular I got pretty wrong. So let's go over what happened in the overall top 10. Number 1 was, of course, Terminator Dark Fate. I don't think anyone's surprised that it got number 1 this weekend, but I think people will be pretty surprised to see how much it actually made. It was originally estimated to make around $40 million and instead opened with just $29 million, which is much below expectations and only $2 million above Terminator Genesis' opening weekend. So that's kind of bad. It did already outgross the first movie worldwide. That's not that hard to do though, and it already has a higher opening weekend than the first movie, but the first movie opened with just $4 million because times were different back in those box office days. So that's really not saying all that much. The fact that this movie opened up with just $29 million and it's on a budget of $185 million is gotta be a huge disappointment for the studio. Now worldwide, it did open with $123 million, so maybe there's enough hope that it will double this really high budget and maybe get the money that they need in the worldwide total. But domestically, right now I can tell you it's probably not going to hold over very well in the next coming weeks, and it's going to be named a domestic flop. Worldwide, I'm not really sure yet. Those numbers could still potentially add up, but I'm just saying right now domestically, this is already kind of a flop, which is pretty bad to say the least because this movie had the best reviews since the last good Terminator movie, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, so obviously there was a lot riding on this to kick off a new trilogy, but now it's looking like maybe that's not going to happen unless the worldwide numbers, as I said, kick into high gear real quick. Number 2, we have Joker making $13 million, adding to a domestic total of $299 million, which is very impressive. Not only is it $1 million off from getting to $300 million domestically, that's a pretty great achievement to get to, but worldwide it is sitting at $934 million. That is $66 million away from getting to $1 billion worldwide. And honestly, if you ask me, I actually do believe we will be seeing that happening. I don't think this is that kind of movie that will stop right before it gets there or it'll leave the top 10 so I can't talk about it in these videos anymore. I think in one of these upcoming box office talk videos, we'll be talking about how it gets to $1 billion worldwide, which I'm very ecstatic about. Number 3, we have Maleficent Mistress of Evil making $12.1 million, adding to a domestic total of $84 million. That's domestically $1 million away from outgrossing Pete's Dragon, the remake, and $2 million away from outgrossing Alice Through the Looking Glass, as far as the lower tier Disney live-action remake movies go. Worldwide, it is sitting at $385 million, so it has doubled its $185 million budget already, so that's good for them. They made it past that threshold, and it is $30 million above Dumbo, the recent Dumbo movie's overall worldwide gross. So that's pretty good for this movie. It's still continuing to rise up in the box office ranks. It's obviously still not one of their highest grossers, but it still was able to double this budget, and it's about to get to $400 million worldwide, and chances of it getting to $500 million are more likely than not, so yay for them, I guess. Number 4, we have Harriet, which actually exceeded box office estimates, making $12 million. Now, I'm not sure what the budget of this movie was. I'm gonna guess. Maybe it's like around 20, 30 million, something like that. But the fact that it did go over its original estimates of like 7 million, something like that, is actually pretty impressive. The director, Casey Lemons, I think that's how you pronounce her first name. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. This is actually her highest opening weekend out of her previous film, so that's pretty good for her too. I'm not sure if it's going to double its budget or not because I don't know what the budget is. It could be maybe higher than what I'm estimating, but I hope all for the best for this movie. Number 5, we have the Addams Family making $8 million, adding to a domestic total of $85 million, and worldwide it is sitting at $129 million. I'm still very positive on the fact that it's not going to outgross the original Addams Family film. Domestically, it is $28 million behind that, and worldwide it is $62 million behind that, but it just tripled its $40 million budget if you were paying attention to that worldwide total, so this is actually pretty good in and of itself. It outgrossed the entire run of Addams Family Values, and although it's not outgrossing the 1991 film, it's already doing pretty well on its own, so that's pretty good for them. Number 6, we have Zombieland Double Tap making $7 million, adding to a domestic total of $59 million, and worldwide it is sitting at $87 million. So not only $13 million away from getting to $100 million worldwide, but it's $15 million away from outgrossing the first film worldwide. I think that's definitely going to happen, and domestically it's $16 million behind the first movie. So I think in the next couple weeks or so we will be seeing that happening. Very, very good for this movie, of course. Number 7, we have Countdown making $5 million, adding to a domestic total of $17 $17 million, and worldwide it is sitting at $22 million. So not only did they double that $6.5 million budget since last weekend, but they also just tripled it, kind of like how I predicted it would in the last video. So good for Countdown, and STX, they made another small budget hit. Maybe we will get that sequel that they hinted at the end of Countdown. Jesus Christ. Moving on to number 8, we have Black and Blue making $4 million, adding to a domestic total of $15 million. They still need about $9 million more to double its $12 million budget. Maybe some worldwide numbers will eventually kick in and get it past that point. But right now it's looking like, domestically at least, it's not going to have enough legs to get it past that point. It is, however, the director Deon Taylor's second highest grossing film behind The Intruder's overall $35 million run. So, hey, that's pretty good. His second highest grossing film ever. It's not as good as The Intruder, though, which is one of the goofiest movies of the year, but whatever. Number 9, we have Motherless Brooklyn. I thought this movie would actually do a little bit better because it had an all-star cast pretty much, and I thought they were doing a pretty good job of pushing it, but I guess not. It made $3.6 million on a budget of $26 million. And not only is this a pretty bad opening, but compared to Edward Norton's actual directorial debut, Keeping the Faith, it's $5 million below that movie's opening of $8 million. At least Keeping the Faith had a good staying power. That's how it ended up making $30 million domestically in total. But this movie, I don't think it's going to have that kind of staying power because times have changed since that movie came out in 2000. I think it's just going to get swept away really quickly, which is kind of a shame, but I saw the movie and I hate to spoil a review if I ever get the chance to make it, but it was pretty boring and I can see audiences being really turned off by that. And finally, closing out the video, number 10, Arctic Dogs. I didn't think this was going to get into the top 5, and I was right. It just barely got into the top 10, making $3.1 million. On a budget of $50 million. The fact that the animation looks so bad, yet it costs $50 million is kind of outstanding to me. And worldwide, it has nothing helping it out, so I don't think it's going to double this budget. I think this is similar to Motherless Brooklyn, just another movie that is going to get swept away real quickly, won't have any staying power. This one, it makes more sense, obviously. Now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. We've got 4 new movies coming out, so I hope I get these predictions right, but I don't know. Number 1, I think, will be Dr. Sleep. Then number 2, Last Christmas. Number 3, Terminator Dark Fate. Number 4, Midway. And number 5, Playing with Fire. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.